So, like a breath of fresh air, Nintendo drops in their new Zelda in E3 2016, and my goodness, it looks incredibly exciting. I mean, I'm not sure if it's 100% perfect. Hard to tell from how little we've seen, but it looks really good. The focus really is very much more in this game on an open world rather than the sort of enclosed spaces we've kind of seen since like Ocarina of Time in the 3D environments where there's like a sort of hub field kind of thing and then a whole bunch of dotted around areas. This is a huge world, and the first I saw of the demo, um, they stepped out and it was amazing looking. The graphics were quite incredible, especially when you consider that a lot of people sort of say, "Oh, the Wii U's only a current gen, a last gen system in current gen skin, like a wolf in sheep's clothing, and type of thing going on." It's quite incredible how different this is as well. Like this is very very different from Zelda games of old. So one thing that kind of struck me was that there's the guy at one point in the E3 demo ran over and he had like a sword thing and he swung through the grass and nothing happened. No hearts, no rupees, no nothing. I mean, from what I've seen so far, there are no rupees yet. I haven't seen a single rupee involved. Um, and there's very much more of a, and I quote Aonuma on this one by the way, there is very much an emphasis more on survival. Obviously, not to the extent of something like I don't know Daisy or Minecraft or something, but you have to go around like picking up mushrooms, say as they did, or other assorted items, either through wandering around exploring, or through fighting enemies and gathering like basically loot almost, but not quite like separate items, different items like a stick from the um, not Moblins, the other ones. You know what I mean. Zelda, proper Zelda fans rather than me, sort of like jumped on the bandwagon a couple of years ago and I got Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. But anyway, and to me it seems more like it's a kind of an Elder Scrolls experience rather than more of a Zelda experience, which for me is kind of a concern. I mean, I'm definitely all for Nintendo changing up stuff like Zelda, as much as I am for anybody changing up anything. But the problem that I think there may very well be is this kind of loss of identity. I mean, there's also the introduction of technology, as Aonuma quoted it. But basically, it's called like the Sheikah slab. It's your gamepad doohickey. Okay, let's not get too over the top. It's the gamepad thing. And the gamepad seems to be okay, but there's not, from what I've seen at least, there's not like an amazing wow. The gamepad revolutionizes so much, but that's a story for another time. So the graphics look great. There's immense shading. It's a huge, and I mean huge world. Like the video that I was watching was this part where it was kind of like I don't know. I have to say like an eighth, 1/10 of the world on offer at least. And this area was big in itself, and there was a whole bunch of like ruins and stuff to explore. And this is one tiny part. This is a huge world. I'm really interested to see how they can make this work because from what I've seen, enemies rather than just moblins, yeah, friggin' moblins, rather than just like enemies being in a set location like they would be in previous Zelda games, like you just find them as you're wandering along and you're like, oh okay, is the enemy that the game told me there was here sort of thing. It's more of there was this one part where there was an encampment and it was like three enemies. Oh, that's gonna really bog me. Mokoblins. It's something like that, and they were around this like campfire thing, and you sort of Link went up to them and was just like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to take all your stuff." I mean, I don't know if that's something Link would necessarily do. I mean, they were kind of just, admittedly, if they would have gone over there and attacked him, and this is probably slightly off topic, but it seems a bit like serial killer almost. Not quite like that, but it seems a bit like cold blooded. Like just wandering over, like I'm just gonna kill you guys because I'm supposed to because game. I also know there's a whole bunch of cool items and funny things you can do with the environment. But I hope what they do with all of this is like what they did with Majora's Mask style side quests, rather than just like, oh, here's a thing you found. I think if you're a fan of Elder Scrolls, you'll definitely like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still Zelda, but it's still you know, it looks really nice and it plays really well. It's a very big departure. And this is either gonna like be amazing and like praised. I mean, we've got to remember this series is 30 years old at this point, so it's either gonna sink or it's gonna like shoot for the sky. I don't think there's gonna be much in between. You're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. I think the problem you have risk is kind of losing your identity as a series and no longer being Zelda. Like if we just called it, and I'm going to kind of end the video on here before I kind of just rant off onto a whole bunch of different things. I mean, you know, it looks amazing, and it looks like a Zelda game, but also very much not. I'm going to leave you with one thing. It's called Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. If we took out the Zelda part, and it was just a game called Breath of the Wild, where you did all of these various things, you know, would it still be a game that we'd be getting so excited about? I mean, I'm excited for it. But if it wasn't Zelda, if it was just called Breath of the Wild, would we still be praising Nintendo this much? Would we be praising them more for a new IP? Would we be less? Because I don't know. So let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.